Evening.
Hi.
We didn't start yet, did we? Because I can't hear anything.
We did not.
I was talking.
There's nothing to hear.
Okay, good.
We can hear you though.
Hey, Kim, can you promote Jim Roth?
I sure can. There he is.
Thank you, Kate. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
One more check. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. It's thank you for hanging in with us. It's 7 after 7, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Upper Perkiomen School Board to order. First up would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Castle, could I have your last roll call, please?
Mr. Cunningham. I think
Here.
he was- Dr. Drake.
Here.
Mr. Elliott.
Present.
Mr. Hipser.
Here.
Mrs. Hopkin.
Here.
Mrs. McGinnis.
Here.
Mr. McCarrick.
Here.
Ms. Pennypacker.
Here.
And Mrs. Cunningham.
Here,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so here we have, Dr. Roach is on vacation tonight. So we have stand-in Dr. Farina to my right, which you can't tell. And we have the last meeting of Sandy Castle. And we have Georgie Fisher. And we have Jim Roth. And on screen, we have Kim Bast, Kyle Summers. And who else? Who am I missing? I think that's everybody I can see. So if I missed anyone, I'm sorry, because I can't see everyone. All right, board president's report. Well, I had a really nice report written up and it's at home in my bag. So I'm going to tell you that graduation was awesome and congratulations to the class of 2021. And I really can't remember what else was on it. And so I did ask my husband to text it to me, but he didn't. Anyway, I hope Dr. Roach has a nice vacation. He deserves it. And Sandy, since I keep saying this is your last meeting, thank you so much for 1,000,000 years of really good service. And we will miss you. Dan will be a good replacement.
Thank you.
Yep. So with that, I will turn it over to the superintendent's report. Thank you.
All right, so in true Dr. Roach fashion, he isn't here, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have something to say. So I just want everyone to get comfortable, and I'll warn you now, it's 23 minutes. So enjoy. Him, hit it.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Cunningham, for the opportunity to report tonight. Although I'm not there in person, I do want to make sure that I present an end-of-year wrap-up and report for everyone. So here goes. Let me share my screen. All right, great. Let's get started. First off, earlier this morning, our very own Mrs. Cunningham was honored by the Upper Perkiomen Valley Chamber of Commerce at the Community and Commerce Awards. So I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge the Outstanding Small Business Award, Mrs. Cunningham and Titanium Finishing. Great job last year. I was fortunate enough to be recognized as well by the Chamber of Commerce. So I wish I was there this morning in person, but definitely there in spirit. And I know we had some people that were there as well to help support that. Also, I'm a board member at the Chamber, so I'm happy to promote that and share congratulations to Edgar Stauffer, as well as my colleague over at the Perkiomen School, Mark Devey, who does a fantastic job over there. And we begin to have some collaborations, which is great for us moving forward as a community. So congratulations, Melanie. Also, a couple other thank yous here. I'm not sure, I think most of the board is aware and some of the public that all the way back as early as May of 2020, we started an Upper Perk Task Force to open schools for the 2020-21 school year. And we had a number of committees and groups, but we had a core group of the task force that you see their names on the screen that were really, if you look at it, it's really a cross section of our major departments and all sorts of impacts from transportation to food service to special education to human resources to facilities. We had a great cross section of teachers that dedicated and volunteered a lot of time on there. So the task force itself to open schools for 2021 is now kind of sunsetted as we're wrapped up the school year. I do want to acknowledge Mrs. McGinnis from the school board, who often even zoomed in on the meetings while she was on her way home or stayed late at work to be a part of that conversation. So Judy, we really do appreciate your extra time and effort and insight. Being a pandemic coordinator yourself, I know Dr. Farina in that role that she was thrust into this year and did a fantastic job. Definitely helped to have another pandemic coordinator in our team and our planning. So that we really appreciate that. So all of the members that you see on the screen there did receive a nice certificate in a nice jacket from Upper Perk to commemorate their time and effort on the task force. We really appreciate it. It helped us through a lot. And we did, again, have other smaller committees that worked all of last summer to really set us up for as successful a year as we could have. So thank you so much. And then finally on this list here, you see the second name under Dr. Farina was Mr. Dennis Flieger, who works at Upper Bucks St. Luke's Hospital there, right on 663. And he was tremendously helpful getting us started, calming us all down, knowing a little bit of insight on the virus itself, and popped in to meetings from time to time, and was a good sounding board for us, as well as gave me insight in terms of the data collection and what numbers and items would be helpful for us to watch. So super job. Another example of our community and our teachers and our staff and our administrators coming together to work towards a common goal, and that was to have a successful and healthy school year as we could through a global pandemic. So super job to everyone on the list here. Thank you so much for your leadership and for your collaboration. Also, it's that time of year, and I know last year I'm not sure if we really wrapped it up. That's why I put both of our retirees from last school year as well as this school year on this slide here to make sure that we congratulate, thank all of our staff that are retiring. They have had a tremendous impact on everyone, and some of the names on the list I've only heard about, and because I didn't really get a chance to work that closely with, but we have some big ones. We have one sitting at the table here, right? Mrs. Castle. You will surely be missed by everyone for all of your time. And then you can see their names. I don't want to shortchange anyone that's on there. But we really want to make sure that we recognize and support our teachers and our support staff members that retired last year and are retiring this year as they head out on retirement and enjoying things. You're always welcome. Doors are always open. And we look forward to keeping in touch. So congratulations to our retirees. Sandy, we have you for another month or so. So it's great that you're here, but we're really looking forward to hearing great things about everyone's time. So again, congratulations to our retirees. And then finally, just a big thank you for everyone this school year. As I put in the last Friday's update out to the families, it was tremendous, the level of support. Yes, some challenges and some questions and some uncharted territory for us all, but our students stepped up, were resilient. Our parents and families that were forced into teaching from home and working and being that surrogate teacher for a little while and helping out. A lot of thank yous are coming in, at least to my office, and I know to some of the principals as well for wrapping up the year as best as we could. I know we had some students that had other choices to go to, and they did, and we're hoping that they come back. But for those of us that were here the whole time, and our teachers, our counselors, our support staff, our paraprofessionals, we had people that were in the entire year, regardless if we were in a virtual model. We had our special education teachers, our special education paraprofessionals, and there needs to be a huge thank you out to everyone to be a part of that. That includes our school staff, our education center staff, our technology staff, which I don't even know what they were doing in the back of the Ed Center there with converting laptops to Chromebooks and all sorts of stuff to make it happen. And we really appreciate that time and energy. Can't forget about food service, our grab and go, our custodial staff, our maintenance staff, the cleaning staff that were doing a great job and really, really keeping us healthy and clean. Transportation and our bus and van drivers have done a fantastic job. Don't forget about our traffic control and crossing guard volunteers or voluntols, depending upon how you look at it, that were a part of the conversation once we got back in person at the middle school with Mrs. Malone leading the way there. Our administration taking up so many new tasks, new opportunities. Dr. Farina, your pandemic coordinator leadership has been fantastic with the antigen testing. That was a mammoth thing, but it really kept our families healthy and kept our schools open. And then finally, our school board members. I know we've had meetings all last summer. It's not the plan for this summer, but that was tremendous. Your time, the amount of things that you have to read and pay attention to, and meetings and discussions and feedback. Just thank you. Just couldn't be more proud of what we've come out of this year, knowing where we were 16 months ago, where we're headed, and what hopefully we're going to get approved tonight to be ready for full in person for everyone that wants it, starting in late August there for next year. So super kudos to everyone. Thank you so much for the support and we'll get back on our feet here and make it as normal as we can be, taking the lessons learned from the last 16 months and improving on the instruction and education for our students. Thank you so much. And I know everyone loves this slide, but what would be an end of year report without at least going back to the numbers one last time? And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised in terms of where we are. So I bring this up just as this is what we've been talking about for so many weeks and months and almost over a year now, this type of chart here. But really what I want you to do is focus on that low side, right? That low side of fewer than 10 cases and less than 5% positivity, because I'm going to show you the most recent set of numbers right here, which bring us to Friday, June 11th. The number was at an 8.7 and a 1.1% positivity rate. So the information that I'm hearing in superintendent meetings and meetings for the Office of Public Health is that at this point, they feel very strongly, obviously, that the virus has been, it's under control. It's the vaccines obviously have helped tremendously. I wrote a note to myself here that the highest numbers we saw on this chart were back on December 11th, and that was at a 392 cases per 100,000 and a positivity rate of 12.1%. So you can see how it has fluctuated over time. This is just from March all the way through the end of the school year. We will continue these through the summer just to make sure we have a better handle on those numbers and that long-term trajectory. You can also see the Berks County rates down are down as well. They're still considered in the moderate, but definitely at a 15 per 100,000. So couldn't be more happy that this is where we are. Glad we pushed a little bit there in December and January to get back in, because those numbers were probably at the highest, but we knew if we were waiting for these numbers, it wasn't going to quite pan out. Again, some bumps in the road. We did have to do some quarantine and that type of thing. We knew that going in, but we were able to finish our year strong, which was the obvious goal when those decisions were made by the board coming into the November, December, and January timeframe. So thank you so much. Again, I just we have to use the numbers when it's in one way as well as on the other side. It's very, very helpful to see these. If anyone's interested, the numbers were updated as of Friday, June 11th, on the entire set of charts to see the numbers as well as the local numbers in our municipalities. So that's the Montco positivity rate, and hopefully we won't see this slide for a long time or ever. Thanks. Okay, so this is another one. We're planning for 2021-22. This is a similar slide that you've seen before. We've just kind of slid down the color to this is where we are tonight. Tonight we are confirming the instructional model with board approval. It is item A on the board agenda to confirm that our plans are to be open for full day instruction, as well as offering a UPOLA model for grades 1 through 5 as well as grades 6 to 12 in a different model. So we are at the point now where we are finalizing and kind of clearing up some of the parent declarations that were closed last Sunday night. We're trying to reach out to our undecided parents, see if there's any questions. I know there's a lot of questions about masks, so we'll address masks here in a couple seconds. I can't predict the future, but I can tell you what we'll be doing at the end of June. And then some of our, we did have a good number of no responses, so we are communicating to those families that did not respond that we are planning on for you to be in person. And if anything changes from there, you need to let us know, but that's the way we have to plan, as that was kind of the best way for us to know what's going on. And then finally, after tonight's approval, hopefully, we will continue to plan. We'll use the summer and prepare our required health and safety plan. It's not as in-depth as it was before, but we will bring back the health and safety plan to the board on August 12th for approval. We will get that to the board probably late June, early July. We do have to submit it in July, but we can get it board approved in August, so we don't have to have an extra meeting in July. And if any changes to that come out of the approval in August, it's not a problem. We could simply resubmit it before we get students in. So that's kind of where we are, trajectory of tonight, getting board approval, of telling us, locking in exactly what our plan is for our admin team and our teachers through the summer, and then be ready to go as soon as school hits in August. So. All right, and then again, this is another repeat slide, just kind of reiterating that information, and want to bring up again the importance that we understand the importance of in-person. We also understand the importance of having that choice, and some may not quite be there in terms of returning full out. But our plan is for the following year, a year from now, we'll be confirming that we probably wouldn't be offering those virtual options unless something was completely different than what we're seeing the trajectory to be on, to be completely back in person. Although I know at the secondary level, there has always been an online option there, so that will probably continue as best we can. But again, just reiterating the support there, and kind of step in this next year coming up, and then fully be back and planning that way for 22-23. So that's the motion that you'll see under letter A on board consideration on tonight's agenda. And it's pretty straightforward. And then there is that little part at the bottom about UPOLA. As we're starting to see the numbers come in, and they're closed out by now, we are seeing a couple offerings that are a little low, meaning like single digits. So we have to make some decisions based upon if we're able to offer that at the time based upon the numbers of students. We are not able to simply guarantee that if there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 there, that may not be able to be accomplished. So we'll have to make those tougher decisions. Those types of decisions are often made at the secondary level for some of the choices of the classes that may run every other year type of thing. So it's not unheard of, but we're going to do our best to see if we can make it happen, but we can't guarantee it, or at least as I'm recording this, may have it guaranteed because I don't have the full set of numbers for that. So that's a part of the motion as well. We do have to be cognizant of enrollment as well as the declarations and specific grade levels to do our best to support the requests that are coming in. So hopefully that, if there's any questions on the vote, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's been out there for a while. I've been on the same trajectory. There's no changes or curveballs here. So it's pretty straightforward for everyone. Again, this is a repeat slide that's been touched up a little bit, just reiterating what was offered there in terms of grades 1 to 5, that we're not necessarily going to be able, or definitely not be able to have a single grade level class at a specific elementary school. Again, low enrollment. And then once it's established, we're not able to provide any flexibility if and when we're able to finalize that. And then UPOLA 6 to 12, we're still focused on the asynchronous courses through Edgenuity. It's not the same that was happening this past spring with what they call rooming and zooming at the same time. And students that are going that route, we're still thrilled to have them have full access to the activities, the counselors, and the supports, music theater, and all of that as a regular student. So that's a regular in-person student, I should say. So we're excited about that as well. And then finally, we have a couple transition points that if people are in one model and want to flip to the other, we would have a transition point with trimesters at our elementary, grades 1 to 5, and then the semester break as the Edgenuity courses are more semester calculated for that. And then this is what I was mentioning before about the health and safety plan. It's a different type of health and safety plan. We will submit it administratively. We'll submit it to the state by the end of July, and then get it board approved on the 12th. And if we do have to make adjustments at the 12th, it's not a problem to resubmit. We don't have to have a separate meeting. Masks and face coverings, I'm continuing to get questions about that. As of right now, the June 28th, the face covering or the mandated face covering order is lifted. So as we head into our summer program, which actually begins on June 28th, face coverings will be optional in our school buildings and on school grounds. We just ask that everyone be respectful of everyone's individual choices to wear or not wear a face covering. It should not be an issue of discussion if someone chooses to wear that because of their own health, or maybe they have someone that's not healthy at home and they don't want to bring anything home, then please respect that and not make it an issue at all. But we will be in an optional state at that point. And we anticipate that's how we're going to start the school year. We anticipate starting the school year with face coverings being optional moving forward. Now, that doesn't mean we can predict the future of what was going to happen with COVID-19 over the course of the summer, and if things change. If and when we get guidance, we're hoping that it's not conflicting. We're hoping that it's very straightforward and all in line, so we can present that information administratively and make a recommendation to the board. We would like to not simply just follow the guidance and say as soon as it happens we're gonna make that decision. With having board meetings roughly every 2 weeks, we would prefer to as guidance comes out, process it from our current plan of optional masks, let's say, and then if we need to make a recommendation for the change in the health and safety plan, then we would do that and then have a discussion and communication at the board level, and then kind of vote and move forward with that. So that's at least the thought process right now. So for those that are asking about masking, the best I can do is tell you that as of the 28th, it'll be optional. That is our plan moving through the summer. That is our plan moving into the beginning of the school year. And I can't predict what's going to happen come September, October, November, and how guidance is. If it's anything, we're going to have conflicting guidance. So we know Montgomery County Office of Public Health is probably our closest. That is obviously closest to us and has really had a hand in that, and we will continue to use that as guidance and present it back to the board with the recommendation. But at the same time, we're going to continue with some of the mitigation efforts that were successful for us throughout the school year. We're still going to socially distance as best we can, as feasible. We're still going to encourage people, if you're sick, to stay home. We still may use a daily symptom checker just to track that, depending upon probably not the start of the year, but it could be, but more maybe when it gets deeper into the school year. We're still going to continue to promote the universal health precautions of hand washing, sanitizing, covering your mouth when you cough or you sneeze. You may continue to see some of those clear separation dividers in offices and at desks and stuff, depending upon the people that are working there. Again, just kind of continuing some mitigation, and then we're going to continue with enhanced cleaning as best we can to keep just any sickness down. Right. As far as the vaccine, we are not going to be, the administration will not be making a recommendation at this time to make a vaccine mandatory. We'll follow the PADOH requirements. If those changes are made, if they're added to the list of required vaccinations, and obviously we would have to fall in line with that. But more importantly, we also need to realize that COVID-19 is on that public school code or health code now. So therefore, if anyone does have that in school, then they would have to be we still have to follow contact tracing. They would still have to isolate, and there still need to be quarantine taking place for, let's say, family members and those that are in the house. So that we can't get away from. We don't have that ability. That is for anyone to follow. And then finally, the big question about antigen testing. We don't know the status of that at this time here in mid-June. We're hearing there's the possible support for continuation of symptomatic student testing in schools. If you were in school and didn't feel well, and that was something that you had those symptoms, that would be conducted by our school nurse. But we weren't planning, and we're not planning at this point to do any confirmatory testing or continuing to be a satellite clinic here at the Education Center to be able to handle that testing, especially with the numbers that I just shared with you. We're not anticipating that was a big taxing on our system. And again, as I think I said last meeting, we're not planning on full athletic testing at this time, and that probably won't be a discussion through the summer, as well as we head up to getting ready for our athletics. So that's kind of an update on the revised health and safety plan, as well as our plan to bring it to the board on August 12th. Next thing is I wanted to mention quickly, as we are getting back to some sort of normalcy, we've been talking with the board, and I know with Mrs. Cunningham and administration, to figure out what's the next and the new in terms of the norm for our board meetings. So beginning our board meetings in August, as I mentioned, the 12th, and I believe the 26th, they're both board meetings and workshops. We are planning on being back in person at the Education Center, or if for some reason the meetings were to move to another location, that would be determined by the board president, superintendent. But for right now, let's just say the Education Center. All board meetings that are on the second Thursday of the month, and all workshops on the fourth Thursday of the month, we're open for the public to attend in person, and participation in the 2 public comment sections. The meeting will be live streamed, so there'll be a link on our website that people can go to watch the meeting, as well as those meetings will be recorded. The change probably is that public comment, which will continue to be in those 2 areas of general public comment or on action items, will either take place in person if someone's at the meeting, or if they want to submit something electronically at 5 o'clock, 2 hours prior to the meeting. Those comments can be read into the record and or submitted and be a part of the record. But for the fall, starting with board meetings and workshops, we will not be taking live Zoom type of comments back and forth. We're getting back to the normal sense of that, but the meetings will be live streamed, which is an increase and enhancement from the past, when the meetings were simply recorded and presented the next day. And then finally, our committee meetings, getting back to that, those will all be in person as well. Let's planning them here at the Ed Center, unless they need to go off site, but that'll be determined by the committee chairperson as well as the administrative lead. Those meetings are all recorded with the exception of policy, and those meetings will be posted after there, but we will not be doing a live stream of those meetings. But everyone is welcome to attend in person and participate in the discussion. Those have more of a conversational as topics are being discussed. It seems that the chairs have allowed for more conversational, but that will be taking place in person as we get back to normal. So that's our plan moving forward with the meetings. To get back is now we can have everyone in person. We still may use a social distance to spread out. We may use Zoom to do the live streaming, but those are the changes and the improvements and enhancements that are set up for us to start back in August with our meetings. And then finally, I want to mention the graduation, which the feedback in a short period of time has been fantastic on the experience, the in-person piece, seeing students and families and celebrating. Being a part of that graduation ceremony was fantastic, and really enjoyed it. So we appreciate Dr. Carpenter and his team, the students, all of our families that were there, the staff, and our counselors that read all the names, and our staff that were there. It was just a fantastic evening. We had 5 board members there, so it was great to see the board congratulating our students and just a general sense of pride, and standing around afterwards, having the students pick up the big signs with their faces on it and just kind of relax, celebrate, and smile without the masks was fantastic to see and be a part of. So I truly was appreciative and honored to be able to speak and share a few words. It was just a great overall experience. So I know the feedback that I'm hearing is, please, let's continue to have it outside. And it seems to be the way where the weather held up for. So it was a great night for all. So with that is really the end of my report as we're heading out here into the summertime. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions by the board. I can't answer questions, but if you have any questions, Dr. Farina said she'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But that's it. That is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to give you a quick update because I thought perhaps you may ask. I'll update Dr. Roach's numbers and some of his information. So our positivity rate is actually 0.07. We were told this today, and we're at, I think, 6 per 100,000 cases. So the Office of Public Health actually is advancing the mask, lifting the mask to the 21st. So that's Monday. So that's good news. In terms of declarations, Dr. Roach alluded to some of that. We actually only had 47 families district-wide request cyber programming, 7 of whom were participating in cyber programming before COVID. So 40 families requested. The breakdown is 11 students, K-5, 24 students in the high school, and 12 at the middle school. And so at our elementary school, we don't have more than 3 students in any grade that requested EUPOLA. So, we just got these results back last Friday. So as Dr. Roach said, we have some decisions to make because designating face-to-face staff to teach, that few kids will be difficult and probably not in the best interest. So, we'll talk about that as a team and we'll share that information with the board. Cyber enrollment, I'm sure, has been a question on the board's mind. And so as of today, in 1920, we had 100 students in cyber. In 2021, we were up to 195. Currently, as of this afternoon, we have 24 students returning to us from cyber. So 10 who have completely finished registration and then 14 who are underway and will complete. And so we will continue to, reach out to those students and see what their decision for next year. But I do know that there is a significant fiscal component to kids being out in cyber. So I wanted to share with the board at the superintendent's report. So if you have any questions, I am happy to ask. One of the questions I got today is, are we requiring masks? Masks are optional. So as of the 21st. Okay, thanks. I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Farina. That was a lot of good news. And thank you, Dr. Roach, for your very nice, long presentation. Hope you come back soon. Next up, and I saw him on the list, Enoch is on there. I'm hoping you have a report.
He's coming in now.
Yep, thank you. Hi, Enoch.
All right, so as you guys know, Ethan graduated and now I am the only advisor up until next year. So my report, we successfully closed out the 2020-2021 school year last week. Seniors completed finals and graduation practices. We had great weather for outside graduation on Thursday, June 10th. The seniors did a great job during the ceremony. Underclassmen completed finals Friday, June 11th, and we are looking forward to a relaxing summer and a normal school year in the fall. That concludes my report. Have a great summer.
Thanks, Enoch, you too. Okay, I will turn it over to Mr. Summers for our Solicitor's Report and Sunshine Act announcements.
Thank you, Madam President. My report this evening is simply to announce that the board did meet in an executive session immediately prior to tonight's meeting for the purpose of discussing a matter of collective bargaining with the Upper Perkiomen Education Association and to receive a safety and security report pursuant to Act 44 of 2018. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the agenda with the exception of action item C. I would like to change the millage rate from 2 to 0.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion? I don't hear any or see any. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed?
No.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Okay, so next we'll have public comments on action items.
There were no submitted comments on action items.
Okay, all right. Then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from May 13th board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to approve the following board policy revisions, adoptions, and repeals. First read. I'll turn it over to Dr. Farina.
Absolutely. So we have two policies for first read. The first one is 231. It was simply reviewed. We made minor revisions, nothing notable. That's about access for school events and then field trips being approved by superintendent. So the changes to that are very minimal. Policy 214 is a policy that the policy committee has worked on for the better part of this school year. As many of you know, there was a first read to that policy in our last workshop meeting. However, at the request of the board, they asked for the attachments or the procedure with which senior speakers would be elected. And so what you will see in the first read is there is a cover sheet. On Monday evening, we had wonderful dialogue about those attachments. And so if you look at that, we added some changes to the attachment in the application to designate, give the opportunity for the child to designate if they were a Western Setter student. Attachment 2 is the qualifications. The policy committee also had a wonderful dialogue about in the absence, because of the class policy or the class rank change, it would eliminate the valedictorian and salutatorian being publicly identified and then thus being the class speakers. However, what Dr. Carpenter shared that his team came up with, that we came up with the language there would be no more than 4 class speakers. Of course, the valedictorian and salutatorian could apply. 3.5 GPA at the end of the second marking period would be the indicator. And then there would be a selection committee that would be comprised of teachers, counselors, building level administrators, district administrators, and through the discussion of the policy committee, we also felt board members should be sitting on that, similar to that of our scholarship meetings and selections. So we did, it is anonymous. The written part of the panel is anonymous. And so we wanted to be able to identify when they were handed in who our Western Center students are and who our students who attend Upper Perk High School for all classes were. Because our hope is that one of those possible 4 speakers would be from the Western Center. As a representative of that wonderful organization who may have in the past not met the criteria to be a speaker, but certainly we want a more holistic, valuable look for advice to their peers. So we talked a lot about that. There's a timeline embedded. And then the rubric for selection of this panel is also listed for the board's review. So you will see those as first reads. Of course, Ms. Pennypacker and I are always looking for feedback. But just to remind the board that the class rank change would be beginning with our just finished freshmen, the class of 2024. We would not publicly identify class rank on transcript. We would continue to calculate it and share it with families upon request. And it would also be shared for the purposes of college enrollment, scholarships, and any other entity that a family requests. So that is the recommended 214 and its accompanying attachments.
Anyone have any questions? So do we actually need a motion then to approve it to first read? Okay.
Motion to move the first read.
And
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Mrs. Castle for an update on the 2021-22 final proposed budget for the last time.
True. I'm going to share a short PowerPoint. As soon as Okay, we've looked at the budget for a number of months now, and we've made changes. We've had a number of finance meetings and gone over specific areas. And tonight I'd like to just do a recap on where we are at this point as we move forward with the budget. Final adoption this evening. By law, it has to be adopted by the end of June. There was changes for anyone who's here for May 13th. There has been finance meetings since then, but from May 13th to now, there were some changes in adjusted expenditures that needed to be adjusted. So special education for out-of-district tuition, technology being a big part for ESSER 2 funds that are being expended, the federal funds, and then ESSER 2 would also be involved in covering the guidance or contracted counselors that we were able to utilize this year. And as you can imagine, it was a real need during this COVID time period. And we believe there's a need moving forward, at least for next year. So that increased the budget a little over $1 million with those adjustments. The total expenditures that we're looking at approving tonight is $71,278,318. As you can see, the largest percentage would be in instruction and support services, with operation of non-instructional and then other financing. Just as an explanation, instructional is all your regular ed and special education, but your support services have a lot of areas like guidance, like psychologists, your buildings and grounds, your transportation, your business office, your administration. So those two areas are very important and cover most of the budget. In the 3,000 area is your non-instructional, which would be your athletics and then your clubs. 5,000 is going to be your debt service. And then I have some funds in there, additional funds for the charter school impact that Dr. Farina described earlier. We went from 100 to almost 200 this year. Fortunately, we have some that will be coming back, which will lessen the impact. I've already reduced it partially. And if we have more coming back, that'll be a positive impact on the expenditures of the budget. This is it graphically, as you can see, the majority being instruction and support services, with other financing and operations. There are revenue adjustments as well. As I spoke shortly ago, there were expenditure adjustments, but I also adjusted the revenue. Our state subsidy for special ed is estimated. I increased it to the estimate if the budget passes. I usually prefer not to do that because I don't know if that's going to be, if those increases will occur. But I'm pretty sure that our state subsidy for special ed that we will receive that. So that is increased. Federal subsidy for ESSER 2, I've increased that. As you can see earlier, I added expenditures that were attributed to ESSER 2, mostly in technology and for the counselors. So as long as we're spending those funds, they're one-time funds. we will be able to support that with the ESTR 2 funds coming in. So the increase in the budget since the board workshop is 667,000. The increase in additional fund balance needed is 423,000. Now you may say, wait, the increase in the budget since the workshop is 667. That is correct. From the original May meeting, it was a little over $1 million, but we had some reductions, we had some additions. So overall, these are the increases. And then a fund balance that's needed. The revenue at a 2%, I did hear this evening that a 0% was being proposed. At 2%, we need $3.9 million to support from the fund balance to support the budget. I have another chart moving forward that lists all the possible tax increases or zero, what would be needed to support the budget. That's a very high number and higher than usual. This is it graphically, but let's go on to the next chart. Oops, too far. I'm sorry. I figure out how to go back. Apologize. The arrows are very light, Stephen. There we go. So a 1%, as you can see, if it's zero, the need for fund balance is $4.7 million. That's excessive. That'd be a hard hit to your fund balance. In 3 years, if you continue that utilization, you will not have a fund balance, which would have a detriment to any debt service that you look at in the future. Earlier, we were talking about percentages and what 1% would mean, and that would be $392,000. So if we were to lose a percentage, that's what we would be looking at. 2% would actually reduce it to 3.9. That's still high. And the maximum we have the ability to do is 3.7, which would still need $3.2 million in fund balance to balance the budget. As you can see below is the effect on the average assessed values that are listed. So in Berks County and Montgomery County, for either the median assessment or the average, the increase in dollars to the taxpayer for those increases would be as such. Sorry, that's so light I can't see it. Sorry, there we go. So tonight is the final budget approval. So I ask if there's any other questions that I may address with the board. I know we've talked about this for months, multiple meetings, finance and workshops and board meetings. So if there's any other questions you have at this time, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I just want to make one addition to Sandy's presentation, just to remind everyone, the 2% recommendation was for the recurring costs for full day K and the expansion of our artistic support program. Those are recurring expenses. Obviously, the board has invested quite a bit in full day K, which is why the business department and the administration made the recommendation to ensure the vitality and implementation of that program, regardless of what potentially could happen financially. We feel like it's in the best interest of those two programs to make the recommendation at a minimum of 2%.
Sandy,
Yes.
with this being your last meeting, I really, really wanted to have an intelligent question for you, but I don't have any. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Rand, thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with everyone. It's a great district and I've appreciated the opportunity. And I will always give you my opinion, as you know, and I appreciate that your opinion also.
Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions?
I would just say, I also thank Sandy. I really built my math skills having a lot of discussions over the last 7 years with you and learned a lot about financing. So, or financial accounting. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Drake. You keep me on my toes. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? All right. Well, we will talk about that later. On to old business. I don't think did we have any? Yeah, I didn't think we had any. Okay, well then we'll move on to new business.
Melanie, if I could, can I make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know anything about football, but boy, do we have a lot of football coaches. Don't we only have 2 teams?
There's a line coach, a receivers coach, a defensive ends coach, just put them all together.
That's normal then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have just said that.
It's okay. You knew that was okay.
You couldn't see my face. I was like, huh?
Show it to us.
Nope.
No, okay.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, all are approved. Thank you. We'll move on to action items.
Melanie, can I make a motion to approve action items A and B as presented? That's a motion to approve the instructional model for 21-22 school year and a motion to approve the following board policy revisions.
Can we make B separate, please?
For you, definitely.
Sure.
I'll go with A if anyone wouldn't mind.
I'll second that.
Discussion? I don't hear any or see any.
Thank God.
Yep, we're good. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, move on to item B.
Motion to approve item B, the policy revisions.
Second.
Any discussion? I figured.
Yeah, so let me weigh in. I sent the board an email on Monday. This is actually the 3rd time you've seen these policies because in the second read, it didn't say second read. And Giselle's look back, her eagle eye caught it. And so you have already approved them as a second read, but now it's actually going to say second read. So they haven't changed at all.
Just a little administrative issue. Okay, so any other questions? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, approved. We'll move to motion C, which has
Motion to
been,
approve the budget for
Okay.
21-22 with a 0% millage increase.
have a second?
I'll totally second that.
Okay, discussion.
I think we beat this dead horse.
I mean, me
Steven?
personally, I'll just jump right in. I just don't think, I completely get Sandy why you won 2%. Completely get it. This year is the year I feel like I wouldn't be doing any financial good to the people in the area who, have been still very hurt by this. That's completely why I would be in support of 0. I know we have our full day K coming on, so on and so forth, but unless you're selling your house, you're not doing too well.
And there's still some people who aren't even getting their unemployment checks for the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, my sister-in-law still is waiting for her ones from previous year.
Mike, I see you texted me and said you have your hand up.
Yes, there you go.
Go ahead.
Cool. All right. I just want to say, for many years, Sandy, who's been awesome for the district and our business department. They've done a really great job being stewards of our money. Every year we wind up with extra in our fund balances, which is awesome. And, to me, that's like your rainy day funds. And if a global pandemic doesn't meet the requirement of a rainy day fund, so yeah, I think I'm in agreement with everybody with, what Steve was saying with the 0.
Okay.
I'm just really concerned about our financial position moving forward in the future. the near future. I really am unsettled about that and what a zero increase is going to do for our financial future. And I'm the last person who wants a tax increase. I mean, I represent the demographic of retired fixed income. But I believe when we, realized when we approved full day K, that we knew we'd had to pay for it. And, I get it. It's horrible everywhere. When I sit on those legislative liaison meetings and listen to everybody in other districts, everybody's going through the same thing. I just think, being fiscally responsible doesn't mean you don't raise taxes. Being fiscally responsible means that we have to use our data-driven decisions to meet the necessary budget needs for the district, to ensure that the district's in a good financial position in the future. And financial planning for the district and all districts across the Commonwealth will continue to be challenging. I mean, it is burdensome to everybody. And it comes down to making, as we all know, extremely difficult decisions and choices. I just think a zero increase would be detrimental to this community in the very near coming future. I mean, I get where you're all coming from with the zero. Totally get it. But I'm really worried about what it's setting us up for. Thank you.
Thanks, Peg. Ryan, you had your hand up.
Thank you. I'm going to disagree because the last 10 years I've been on the board, we have constantly discussed having to close the gap. There's a deficit, millions of dollars of deficit, and then every year we would end the year with a surplus that I think, sorry, you're going to have to hear this, Sandy, but I think that zero is not low enough, that we could probably still give 10% back to the community and still be fine. But that's my opinion. So I will go with zero.
I'd like to speak next.
Because I don't think I'm going to get that from anybody else. But and I'm the one with the accounting degree on the board. So I'm just letting you know that I've done the budget for 10 years now, and I was able to predict the surplus every year, pretty much, very close.
Thanks, Ray. Judy?
So I did a lot of number crunching in the last week. Still sending Sandy emails at 4:41 this evening, asking her questions. I came onto the board in November of 2017. We had a budget of $59,881. I'm sorry, 59 million. I wish it was 59,000. 59,881,161. The following year, that approved budget increased to 61,717. The year after that, in 2019, it increased to 64,199. In June, it increased to 2020, it increased to 66,650, and now we're up to 71,278. That increase in 3.5 years is 11,987,157 cents. During that time, in June of 18, we voted for a tax increase of 0.79%. On June of 2019, we increased it 2.8. In June of 2020, we had a tax increase of 0. So since I came onto the board, we have raised taxes 3.59%, but our budget has increased 19%.
That was
19%.
It's not a zero taxing.
Okay, I have the stub numbers because I knew you were going to say that. And even with the stub numbers, we've raised taxes 8%. So we increased our revenue 8% while we increased our expenditures 19%. Why have we done that? Because we said as a board, we needed to improve things. Many of us ran that year that I came on to improve the status of this school. What have we done? We've had professional staff additions that include a director of curriculum and instruction, a curriculum supervisor, student assistance counselors at the elementary school, an additional school psychologist, a board certified behavioral analyst to supervise our 6 new registered behavioral technicians, a special education supervisor, a 3rd certified school nurse. We constructed a new middle school that added $50 million to our debt that we financed. We've renovated the 4-5 center, secured entrance construction at various district buildings. We did the mold remediation. We have a new transportation contract next year that's significantly higher than our old one. We've are doing an expansion of our autistic support program, and we've instituted full-day kindergarten. All of this costs money, all of it. Now, I'm not saying we have to do the full 2%, but to do 0 is not fiscally responsible, because these are all costs that are going to go forward every single year, with the exception of the mold remediation, because hopefully we won't have to do that again. Please, no more. All right. So I agree with Peg. We need to be financially, fiscally responsible. That does not mean that we pretend like we haven't increased our budget 19% in 3 years. 19%. And we've increased taxes 8 with the STEB. We actually only voted for what we could control, because we cannot control the STEB rate, much to our dismay, but we've raised taxes 3.59, but we've raised the budget 19% on our administrators. That's not fair to expect them to continue to try and meet that with no increase in taxes. I don't want to increase taxes. I don't want to pay more income tax. I went to settlement today for my parents' house. They're moving to Green Lane and they are on Social Security only. Do you think I like the thought of raising my parents who are moving here in a month, their income tax? I mean, their real estate tax? Of course not. But we have a responsibility to improve this district, and to do that costs money. That's my opinion, as Peg said, and that's all I can do.
Thanks, Judy. Ryan, I know you had your hand up.
Yet all that, and we still end the year with a surplus. We'll just have a smaller surplus.
We are not having a surplus this year.
Yes, we are.
At least at my last finance committee, I was told we were going to have a 900,000 deficit, not surplus.
We'll have a surplus. You'll find out after the audit.
So you're calling Sandy a liar?
Interesting.
Let's try not to get personal.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great idea.
I did ask Sandy for that question. So we have a deficit, but we had a transfer that we then spent. So, I mean, I guess technically we have a deficit because we took money out of operating budget and put it into capital, but we did have a surplus. And so I really appreciate what Peg said and what Judy said. That's why I ran for the board, is because we weren't making a lot of these investments. And we heard all the time that we were going to have a budget deficit, but we never ended up having one. And so I mean, I'm not an accountant, but I started keeping track of the numbers. And every single year for the last 7 years, we predicted a $2 million deficit and had about a $3 to $4 million surplus, including this year. So that swing is about $5.5 million. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 7. But in my opinion, that would cover what we're talking about with this particular shortfall that Sandy's predicting. And again, a once in a century pandemic, there's a lot of people really hurting. I think in this case, if we're going to do any year where we have a 0, this would be the year. So the combination of usually having a surplus and having a bit of an underestimate, I think, of what our revenue would be, combined with the global pandemic, for me, makes it makes sense to be a 0 for this year.
Thanks, Carrie. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go.
Oh, thanks. Go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, my point or my opinion is that the budget shortfalls, there's a lot of controversy or a lot of disagreement with our budget, but budget shortfalls should never be expected. They shouldn't be the norm, certainly. We can't rely on revenue that may or may not materialize. Looking beyond the next couple of years, you can't really count on any relief beyond the COVID relief, we're setting ourselves up 2-3 years down the road where we're going to have to either raise taxes dramatically, or we're going to have to cut programs, cut all the work that we've done in the last couple of years. So I can't see a zero tax increase as being feasible. And that's where I stand.
Thanks, Dana. Stephen?
The only other point is, and I completely agree with you, Dana. I understand that, but you are right though. But every year we have been asked to raise taxes to the max, no matter if we were there or not. We've been asked every year to raise taxes to the max. This is the first year. I mean, the Fed is still saying that we're at 8.7% unemployment. That's the real unemployment rate. So to say that 10% of our district, almost 9% of our district could be unemployed, it could be higher, could be slightly lower, but our area does not have much industry. So unless you're traveling very far, you're not, it's hard for this area. And so yes, Carrie, I do agree with Carrie. I mean, heck, just looking around the area, I know 5-6 companies offhand that let go almost 200 people. I mean, look at the Warren Act. I mean, how many places have cut severe amount of workers this year? I mean, look at Vanguard. It's closing down their buildings just to keep people at home. I mean, they're not opening back up buildings and bringing people back in. This isn't you know, it seems cut and dry, but all at the same time, yes, I completely agree. We have district financial responsibilities. I completely get it, guys. I'm first one there with you, but at the same time, we also have the same responsibilities to the people here. This isn't one-sided. This is both sides. We need to look at both. Went through a global pandemic, and 10% of our area, 9% of our area could be out of work. That's more than normal. 2 years ago was what, 3%? I mean, it's 3 times as many people in this area could be out of work. So that's what my opinion is. I'll end it there.
Thanks, Stephen. Anyone else?
Melanie, can I just, somebody go ahead.
All right, I'll get you a second, Mike. Go ahead, Keith.
I've been saying this from the start, of the year, of the budget year. This is not the year to raise taxes. I understand all the implications of going on, but this is not the year to raise taxes. We have done the budget transfers for the past few years. We can draw down the fund balance a little bit. Hopefully with all these situations, with the situations going on for the past year and the situations that all the school districts are in throughout the state, hopefully our state government will start doing something proactively and giving us more help so that we don't have to rely on the taxpayers, which is totally unfair to every district.
This is true. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I think a lot of good points have been made by both sides here. And I think everybody at the heart of it is really trying to make what they think is the best decision, right, for our district and our community. And, for me personally, in my job, I get to talk to a lot of different people, day in and day out. And this has really been hard on a lot of folks. So, understanding that and understanding, Judy brought it up earlier about, how our tax rate is going up, like 8%, right? So no skyrocketing from anything. We've had a growth, steady, but we always have some funds left over at the end of the year. And we have a nice surplus, right, tucked away in our funds. And I think if you're ever going to do this, I think this is a good year to do it. We've been very physically responsible. We've kept everything nice and tight. But the reality is at the end of the year, we do wind up with a surplus every year. There was one year at the end of the 11 and 12 school year where we were in the deficit $37,000. Other than that, we've had a couple million, every year, at least 1.6 over the last, 7 or 8 years. So I just think with that surplus in hand, this is the year for us. I understand, obviously you want to make sure that you've got enough money to operate, but I think because we always wind up with that surplus, and I think because we've got that money tucked away, and because it is the pandemic and what a lot of people have suffered through this year, that this is, I think we can, for lack of a better term, get away with that this year, right? And then next year reassess where we are, because it's, there's abilities to catch up one way or another. And I think this is our year to kind of keep it in line. That's my thought. But I respect everybody's opinion, and I thank everybody for speaking and sharing how they feel. So, thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Just to give my opinion, I agree with what Mike just said. I think we'll be fine. So if any more discussion?
One clarification, Madam President, is just with regard to the attachment. Mrs. Castle, if just the attachment that was attached to the public agenda was based on a 2% increase. So there are some figures in the attachment, just if we could have those stated to what they will be with a 0% as the motion is currently listed.
Who's making dinner?
Okay, I'm back. So at a 0%, this motion, then the millage rate would be 25.2278. Now, once you pass that, it also changes the numbers for the homestead, farmstead, which I guess I'll read when we get to that motion.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. All right, no more discussion. I will call for a vote. Do we need a roll call on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Mrs. Castle, roll call, please.
Dr. Drake.
Yes. Am I the first in the alphabet?
Well, I switch off. I go
Every
down
time.
in the alphabet.
Okay, yes. So it's to clarify, it's a yes for 0, correct?
Yes.
So I'm a yes.
Mr. Elliott,
Yes.
Mr. Hipser,
No.
Mrs. Hopkin,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis,
No.
Mr. McCarrick,
Yes.
Ms. Pennypacker,
No.
Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mrs. Cunningham.
Yes.
Passes 6-3.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to motion to adopt the homestead farmstead. Do you want to tell us what the changes are then, Sandy?
Yes. The change will be in the homestead reduction exclusion amount, which will go to 5991 for farmsteads and also the same for homestead. The change in the amount goes from 188 to 188.01. So the deduction from a real estate tax bill will be 188.01.
Thank you.
It changed by a penny?
Yes.
I'll make that motion based on Sandy's.
I hope we can afford that.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Melanie, if I could I make a motion to approve action items E through J? I can read those.
Second.
It's a motion to approve the authorization to make the budgetary transfers, motion to approve the business administrator for the authority to assign portions of the fund for the turf field, motion to approve the emergency instructional time template for the global pandemic for 180 days of instruction, 900 hours of instruction at the elementary and 990 hours at the secondary. Motion to approve an increase in the maximum number of hours for teachers approved for Ready to Learn. Motion to approve an increase in the maximum number of hours for teachers approved for Power Up Camp. Motion to approve an increase of the maximum number of hours for paraprofessionals approved for Ready to Learn.
I'll second that.
Keith already, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I forgot you were reading. Okay, never mind my second. Any discussion?
I had a question on E, if you could go back to that.
Sure.
What are these budgetary transfers? Is this to get out of, so you don't end up with an operating budget surplus to transfer it over? What are these transfers? I don't recall.
So these are the transfers between function codes so that we don't have overspend one versus another. So for example, if we have, let's say in the 1211, which is a special ed account, if the budget is $200,000 and we spend $210,000, then we'll move funds from possibly 1221 to make it that there's enough that's budgeted. So we're just doing budget transfers to adjust the original budgets, but within their relative area, but just for accounting purposes.
Do we get a report from that eventually of what you
Sure.
transferred then?
Yes.
This is all for
well,
the
it's-
summer, right? So we don't need to have board meetings to approve transfers?
Well, correct. This is after. So it's actually part of your financial report from the auditor.
Oh, okay.
It shows those transfers.
Okay, that's fine for me. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, approved, thank you.
Melanie, if I could, can I make a motion to approve action items K through P? It's a motion to approve the compensation plan for administrative support staff, motion to approve compensation plan for the instructional and non-instructional support staff, motion to approve rate increase for Christine Vogel, rate increase for Amy Hartzell, rate increase for Lisa Desare, and a motion to approve maintenance and custodial employment.
Second. Do you look at my notes?
Any discussion?
I'm going to abstain on K through O on them.
Okay,
I would just make a comment. I think in some cases, some of these adjustments are way overdue, and I'm glad that we're doing them. I know we weren't competitive with many other districts and had many conversations with support staff who basically had to leave the district because the salaries were well below many of the other surrounding districts or even different industries. So I'm glad that we're doing this, and I'm strongly in support of it.
And thank you to Georgie and Sandy for getting P in there. Otherwise, those people may have not gotten a salary increase this year.
yes, thank you.
Absolutely. And also just to echo what Carrie said, yes, absolutely. He's spot on with it.
Madam President, I would just suggest if Mr. Cunningham and Mr. McCarrick are in agreement with revising the motion to take items K through O first. Mr. Hipser said those were the items he was going to be abstaining on. So just have a motion, agree to have the motion be K through O, and that would allow item P to be separate and Mr. Hipser to vote on that.
I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you. So now we'll
Motion
tackle
to
P.
approve action, sorry, Melanie, if I can make a motion to approve action items P through W, if everyone is okay with those. That's a motion to approve the maintenance and custodial employees, motion to approve Judy as the voting delegate, motion to approve Peg as the voting delegate, and a motion to approve the board, the superintendent to hire teachers and pay the bills, motion to approve the AG administrators for student extracurricular insurance, motion to approve Red Health Dental for the dental supplier of last resort, motion to approve the attached contract with the Penn Foundation and the addendum to the extend agreement with the ESS Northeast.
Second.
Thank you, Keith.
Discussion? I do have a comment to make. I know we're giving away our power speech from somebody. So as regarding letter S, that is not carte blanche to do anything. It is merely to make sure that we have the staff necessary between now and our next meeting, and that they're here to start the beginning of the year if we do need them. So just wanted to clarify. Anyone else?
Candidates will appear on the board agenda for approval.
Yes, yes. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm glad to see Peg and Judy going on to the PSBA. I'd heard a lot of feedback from people that attended that in the past that it's very useful and a good learning experience and helps when you come back to help the rest of the board. So I hope you
Yep.
enjoy it.
Thank you both, yes. You stole my thunder.
Sorry.
That's okay, it's okay. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
Okay.
If anyone's upset with me doing these, please let me know. If no one's upset, I'd like to make a motion to approve action items X through AA. That is motion to approve the 2021-2022 MCIU agreement, the special education services agreements with student 250-663, 25147, so on and so forth. And motion to approve the caution guide services.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in
Wait, how
favor?
far down did he go? I'm sorry,
To AA,
to AA?
yep, which is the crossing guard services.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approved, thank you.
Melanie, if you wouldn't mind, could I make a motion to approve action items BB to KK? That is the motion to approve the attached list of drivers and personnel by Christ Transportation, the district trash disposal, the district mowing and grounds maintenance services for 2 different companies in DD and EE, a motion to approve the elevator maintenance services, advanced protection company to do some security for us at the events, to do standalone consulting, to come in and do the look at the security guard service. I'm sorry, to provide security guard services, a motion to approve the buyout of the Hewlett Packard financial services lease and another financial services lease with Hewlett Packard, and the stormwater best management practices that we're required to do to release the
MPDES
permit. Yeah, there was a lot of acronyms in there. Sorry, guys.
Yep.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mike?
No, I'm good. I just
Oh,
turned on my
okay.
mic to vote. That's all.
Okay.
I do actually,
Just
guys.
checking.
I
Go
just
ahead.
want to at least note, at least on DD, Tidy Up Landscaping is a grad of Upper Perk. He is a 2008 grad. He was a year above me. And he mows a lot of places on Huff's Church Road on my way home, and he does phenomenal work. So I'm pretty sure they're going to do phenomenal work here.
Yes. Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's approved. Thank you. That concludes our action items. We'll move on to Steve, in case you didn't do anything yet.
If you guys
For the
don't mind,
financial
I'm going to go into the
reports.
financial reports. If everyone wouldn't mind opening their financial reports attachment, we're going to be looking at pages 24 through 29. These are our general fund expenditures. I would like to make a motion to approve our our general fund expenditures on pages 24 through 29 in the total amount of $1,672,284.36. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Judy. Does anyone have any discussion?
No.
Sandy, I do see the Western Center bill in here. Did we get our refund yet? Okay, Donna's getting a call. Still gonna get a call. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Back to you, Melanie.
Thank you. I don't believe we have any new follow-up items.
Actually, we do.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to make sure, I should have said something when you were at old business, but I didn't think of it until like 2 minutes ago. The Skyward Consulting information, I'd like to have that addressed or get updates on that, or have a plan of what we're going to do to address the recommendations.
Okay.
So can we put
Absolutely.
that on old business so it doesn't slip between the cracks again?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, great. We'll move on to public comments. Dr. Farina, do we have any public comments?
We have one hand raised for public comment. And there
Thanks,
was one submitted prior to the meeting, I believe.
Yes. Okay.
So Kelly Holt, if you're here and you would like to come and share your public comment, I can promote you if you raise your hand. I don't see Kelly in the meeting.
She's there.
Okay, yep, I'm going to allow you to talk, Kelly. Please start with your name and district, township of residence. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kelly Holt and I'm from East Greenville. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the raising of the taxes in this previous school year. I have two children who attend, and it's been very difficult because of the fact that there have been mitigation efforts. The virtual Wednesday has really been like just a nothing day really for them, unfortunately, because they have special needs and really they don't have the ability to attend school necessarily. You know, there's been schedule changes. I feel very stressed out, and this has affected my ability to find a job. You know, I can't take them to daycare. You know, it's just been very difficult, and I know that everybody at the school district has been phenomenal in working with some of the restrictions they've been given from, you know, the Department of Health here in Pennsylvania. But I just wanted to say, like, you know, I just really feel the struggle of taking care of my special needs kids, trying to, you know, send them to school, trying to figure out what's going to be best, you know, for them. And I just wanted to share my story a little bit and just kind of give you guys some insight as to, you know, a personal account of what, you know, a parent is going through. So I appreciate, you know, all that you're doing. I appreciate, you know, all that, you know, you guys have been, you know, taken care of with the school. And I just wanted to say that, you know, maybe this year isn't the right time for taxes, but maybe next year, you know, an increase would be okay to make up for it. It's just been really hard, you know, to make ends meet, and just wanted to share my story and let you guys know.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, thank you.
Another hand raised, Adam Diefenbach. I'm going to allow you to talk now. Adam, please state your full name and township of residence, please.
Sure. My name is Adam Diefenbach. My township of residence is Upper Hanover, and you get a gold star for pronouncing my name right on the first try. I thank you for allowing me to speak to you all for a moment. I'm in an extreme minority, being a homeschool family and being someone who is also a small business owner. When we were told by the governor that we were to cease operation last March because our business was deemed non-essential, this put us in extreme hardship. My staff has reduced from 18 employees to 6. I could go on. None of those are reasons why you shouldn't raise the tax rate. I felt it incumbent on me as a resident of this district just to take a moment to address you. The reason why you should not raise our tax rates is because these are funds that are taken from private citizens with the threat of coercion for services that are not entered into voluntarily. I realize that sounds extreme, and I'm trying to be respectful because I realize that you folks who participate in this system aren't doing that because you're trying to hurt people or you're evil or anything like that. But I would urge you to consider that from the standpoint of a small business owner, the idea that you can have a multi-million-dollar budget surplus and then still come to private citizens and families, many of whom are not even using the services of the district, and ask for more money is abhorrent, frankly. And again, I realize that's strong language, and I appreciate you listening to me say that. But I hope you realize when you have $2 million that you didn't use, that belongs to us. That belongs to us, the residents of this school district, and frankly should be returned to us. I realize that won't happen, and again, I understand all this sounds very extreme to you, but I just wanted to take a moment to address, the way you talk about why to raise taxes or not to raise taxes. The idea that it's based on people are in hardship and all those sorts of things. I mean, those are arguments that you can make, I suppose. But the real reason not to do it is because you just shouldn't take more money from people here, especially from those of us who don't have school age children, or those of us who are using our rights to to pursue other avenues of education for our children. So again, I thank you for the time. I hope that none of you hear that as a personal attack, because it is not intended as that in any way. But I just wanted to respectfully offer my comments as you discuss the tax rate, and I'm relieved that it is not being increased. But I hope that when the time comes for you to consider possibly raising them again, you'll consider, as has been pointed out, that there is a consistent budget surplus year after year. That's money that I don't get to say no. There's no other service that is compulsory like this, that is so specific. We don't get to say no, we're not doing that. Thank you very much. So please don't take more. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Kim, do we have any other hands?
No, I don't see it.
Okay. Then I'll conclude public comments and move over to board comments. Steve, I see your hand raised.
First, I'm going to be the first one to say, Sandy, again, thank you. I really appreciate all your service. I mean, obviously, we still have you through July, and I'm sure we'll still be seeing emails from you. And but we will miss you. I mean, you really do have a large breadth of knowledge here, even though sometimes we bash your percentage for the taxes or things like that. We really do love who you are. We're really thankful to have you.
Absolutely. Keith, I know you had your hand up.
Yes, I'm echoing what Steve said. I remember working with you years ago when I was on a different district, the Western Center. You were always prepared. You do respect your opinion on everything, even though we may not follow your advice. And I'd like to thank the rest of the administration for the past year for everything that you've had done to keep us going in the right direction, and all the hard work that has been put in by the administration and the rest of our staff throughout the district.
And please don't stay up so late long term.
Yeah. And don't forget to take your don't forget to take your bed with you. And Mike said he'd like to make a comment. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I just want to, I mean, Sandy's been great. She's always been kind. She gets back to you, even if it's like at 11 o'clock at night when she should be in bed. Sandy's always been very, very nice, and she's really going to be missed. I'm excited about Dan, but Sandy, you've always been, really kind, and from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that. And just kudos to some other retiring folks we have. I mean, Mr. McFadden has been awesome over at the high school, as is Mrs. Newman. Keith Leamer retired. He was the elementary gym teacher over at Hereford for 37 years. We have some other retirees. Just want to thank them for all their time and their dedication to the district, and for leaving some lasting legacies. And of course, to echo what was just said, thank you to all of our staff. Custodians, food service, teachers, aides, administrators, fellow board members, for all the work. It has been one nutty year. it's been really intense. So, I just, thanks to everybody for the time and effort that you put in to get us through this, and looking forward to a summer break. Oh yeah. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Carrie?
Yeah, well, I'll echo everything with Sandy. I won't spend a lot of time, but I do wish you a happy retirement. Maybe I'll run into you with your grandchild at Knoebel sometime this summer. So I wish you a very healthy and happy retirement. I did have a short comment I wanted to read, if it's okay with everybody. This week, I had the opportunity as a board member to participate in the in-person graduation of UPSD seniors, and had the great pleasure of handing the diploma to my youngest son, Logan. It was a proud moment for me as a board member, and most importantly as a parent, and the culmination of an entire academic career for my son. I still remember his first day getting on the bus in kindergarten. It seems just like yesterday. So I wanted to take a moment to thank all those who helped Logan along the way on his journey and through the successful completion of his academic career. Starting with his kindergarten teachers through to his elementary school, middle school, and then high school, I learned firsthand about the dedication of the teachers, guidance counselors, staff, and administration, many of whom are now retired, but some of whom still keep in touch. As a parent, I wanted to thank you all for everything you did individually and collectively as a district. My son Logan is a better student and a better person because of all your efforts over the last 13 years. And that is as it should be. The district exists in our community to educate our children and build a better future. I see that passion in almost every person and district employee I've met over these years. And I know it's not just for my son, but for all students of all abilities. In my opinion, this is what sets us Upper Perk apart from other districts. And I know that will continue for years to come. So once again, I'd just like to thank you all for caring and everything that you do for our students, for our community. And again, appreciate everything you do. So thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Anyone else?
Do you mind if I say?
No,
something?
go ahead,
Even
Dr.
though-
Farina.
Even though I'm not a school board member.
You're an
You
ad
can-
hoc board member.
You can be the
you're
10th member today.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not going to be Dr. Roach's 23 minutes, but I absolutely could not pass up this opportunity. And if I get weepy, just, it's on record. I couldn't pass this opportunity to let you know how I feel about Sandy. Sandy has selflessly dedicated her 38-year career to the betterment of the Upper Perkiomen School District. Her primary role here in the district was that of business administrator. And without question, her integrity, commitment, good stewardship, and the endless hours in her office has always yielded a good financial position. While leadership in the district's financial situation was her primary role, it goes without question that she has been called upon to serve in this district in more capacities than that over her 30-year career, which have included supporting 11 superintendents, countless assistant superintendents just in my 7 years, and dozens of education center and building administrators. She has taken a significant leadership role and left her footprint on this district, which we will never forget. That footprint includes the purchase of the property of Marlboro Elementary and its entire construction, the sale of the Green Lane School, Hereford Elementary School renovations, the purchase of the surrounding properties to Hereford Elementary School, middle school renovations, the high school 400 wing, the high school turf fields, the purchase of the education, the construction and renovation of the education center, a new middle school, the renovation of the 405 building. And I know one of her personal goals was the purchase of the Wood property. I didn't learn that till this year. But in addition to taking on anything and absolutely everything the district needed, Sandy has always extended herself to engage all of the organizations around her. Sandy fundamentally has understood the importance and value of relationships between organizations and has made significant efforts to work with all of them. Some of those organizations, clearly not exhausted, the Chamber of Commerce, the YMCA, all of our local municipal groups, community partners, Kiwanis, just to name a few. Her efforts were never limited to business or community relations. Sandy deeply cares about kids. at the root of every spreadsheet, audit paper, 7,000 binders stacked on the floor, on her desk, on her table, on her chair, in the hallway. It was the pathway to financially supporting programs for kids. While many of us have no idea how it's possible, and we don't ever want to ask, Sandy finds a way to make sure that kids got what they needed, both inside and outside of their classroom. Her efforts are not in vain. Through the tremendous effort in this district, we have seen amazing things happen, which have included full-day kindergarten, an 18 to 21 transition program, the maintenance of the arts when that was easily discarded by many school districts, the full implementation of a K-12 virtual program. Sandy's efforts over 38 years have resulted in a lasting benefit to all who walk through the halls of every facility, whether it be a student, a staff member, a parent, or a community member. Your legacy is profound. Your leadership is humble and simply extraordinary. Your departure from Upper Perk is much deserved, but you will leave a void that will never be replaced. So I thank you. I wanted to take an opportunity to do it public, and so we can show it over and over on loop. You made me weepy, but Sandy, you may be here till July, but you will never, ever be forgotten. So thank you.
I don't know what to say except thank you. It's been my pleasure to be part of it. To work with all the school board members, and sometime I'm going to add them up. But the community itself, I strongly feel part of the community. I just love this place and never even thought about going anywhere else. I like the challenges that have been created sometimes, trying to, to have everyone understand where I'm coming from, and I want to understand where they were coming from, just like tonight. So I appreciate everyone's comments, all the support that I've had, and I did not do this alone. Without everyone in the district, I couldn't be successful. I need Dr. Freed. Everyone's been very supportive all the way around, and we're like a family. I mean, we all work together. Many of us were out there directing traffic as crossing guards because that's what we needed to do. I mean, every time something comes up, someone steps forward to come up with a solution that's acceptable or that would work. And Dr. Freedom being pandemic coordinator this year was unbelievable, the time and effort that was put in. So I just want to thank you for letting me be a part of this district. Thank you.
Thank you both. Ryan, you had your hand up.
I just have one last question for Sandy. Over the last 10 years, I'm pretty convinced that you actually live at the Ed Center. So I'm just wondering, what are you possibly going to do with like all this free time? Do you have a hobby lined up, or? Yeah.
I never had time for hobby except for numbers and spreadsheets. So I'll have to find that, and I'll have to volunteer. So
Your grandkids.
yeah, my grandkids, I spend time with them. But if you need help, just give me a call.
Hey, Coopersburg might be looking for a board member if you want to volunteer.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, we'll see.
Well, you're always welcome here. I can say that. You can always come visit us anytime. We would be happy to see you. Anyone else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Good night,
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Has anyone actually ever opposed to adjourning the meeting?
I don't think so. Yeah.